And we're live. Welcome back to another Gimbal Weekly Update. Hey Keith, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Amanda. It's good to see you.
You too. Hey Doug.
Good morning.
Love that mug, that's cool. Debbie's not with us today because we just had a photo shoot and it went so well. Caitlin Tyner does a great job of doing stuff, so producing great photos. So if you need a photographer, she's your girl. So she was sprinting home and that's why she didn't make it this morning. That's all right. Let's start off with the disclaimer real quick. Content provided at the event is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. And performance referenced is historical and no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Any economic forecast set forth during the event may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that any strategy will be successful. These thoughts and opinions are those of Gimbal Financial and do not represent the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Gimbal Financial, a registered investment advisor, and separate entity from LPL Financial. Whew. I'm wondering if I'm going to memorize that by the time as we continue to do these.
I'm betting you will.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Good to see everybody this morning. It's middle of June. It's just wonderful in Indiana. And Keith and I we were just talking about vacations. Are any of you on vacation right now? Are you tuning in from someplace remote? If you are, shoot us an email and tell us what you decided to do, because I think a lot of people are trying to decide what is our summer going to look like, and we're already here. And so if you've got a unique perspective on what you think you need to be doing, let us know. Okay, tell us about this hat, Keith. I think I know where that hat came from.
Well, it's the journey is over the destination. And if you travel on vacation and you think it's all about the destination, it seems to have a lot more stress than if you realize just the journey itself is the point. And I could tell you war stories of ripping off tailpipes off of RVs, running over fire hydrants, all kinds of stuff. And a vacation principle or travel principle is this: whenever you screw it up, stop what you're doing, get out your camera and take a selfie, because give yourself some time and it's going to be funny. It may not be in the next day or two. I wish I'd have learned this years ago, but if you screw it up, stop and take a selfie so you can laugh at it months and years later.
I think the first part of advice, just to stop, is probably a good place to start. If it's going bad, just stop.
The last one I had, Doug, the RV awning the kids are going, there's a noise out there, and the awning is all the way out as I'm going 55. It looked like one of those ultra lights going down the road.
Well, and I'm pretty sure the last one I had, your RV was through a brick wall in Huntington Beach, California. So
nice work.
So always stop and then take a picture. Hey, speaking of pictures, let's take a picture of what's going on in the stock market. We'll switch over and see what we have going on this week. I'm going to share my screen with you, and you can see eBay here. Anybody been shopping at eBay? Amanda, do people shop? Do you shop on eBay? Do you ever?
I can say with confidence, I've never bought anything from eBay, so I don't know.
You ever do anything on eBay, Keith?
I do. Can you move those alerts out of the way there? Just kind of distract
me.
Yeah, Caleb has been a little eBay entrepreneur. He had somebody from Chile with no record trying to buy something from the other day, and they haven't paid, so I'm guessing it wasn't legit.
Well, the thing about eBay that I always liked is you could set your price. If you want to have a buy it now price, you could do that. And it's kind of like stock market. And what we've been doing at Gimbal Financial, we've been trying to reduce the amount of emotions that goes into our decision making for you guys. And that's,
Doug, did you just see the NASDAQ's over 10,000?
What? Hey, oh my
Sorry.
goodness. Yeah, ADD. Yeah, you're right, man. That is a big number. Can you believe that? That is crazy. Okay. Anyway, here we go, getting all fired up about the stock market. We're trying to get less fired up about the stock market. But yeah, so kind of like on eBay, you can have a buy it now price, and you just click and it's there. And one of the things that we've been doing through enhanced technology and education is we've been setting our own buy it now prices. We have several stocks out there with buy prices. It hasn't hit them yet. And once it does, we'll be filling portfolios. We have the same thing on the sell side. We are looking to the right of these charts and saying, you know what, if it got up here, we'd like to sell it. Or if it got down here, we'd like to take some risk off the table. And so these are some of the things that we've been working for on your behalf. But yeah, here's the NASDAQ. And I can remember back in March, it would have been right around here, you know, mid to late March, when it was just, oh, it's not going well. And we were nearing the bottom. One of the stock pickers that I like to follow and listen to said 70% of the time when a market rebounds, it retests its bottom. 70% of the time. Well, just like the stock market doesn't really care about our opinions, it just kept moving forward. And I personally don't think we're going to retest that bottom. We might have pullbacks like we did last week, and they could come back. For some of you who've been on this call, you know the 200-day moving average, which is the black line, or the 50-day, which is this red line. You know, we could test those very easily. But it looks like, you know, that March low, it's no looking back. And so here's a picture of the NASDAQ. Yeah, hitting new highs, unbelievable, 10,000. Keith, do you even remember, what was the NASDAQ when you got in the business?
I have. If you click on that monthly thing and then go to the left, I can't see the bottom there. Can you shrink the bottom down so we can see?
I started in 1999. And
yeah, so this thing doesn't even go back as far as I've been like old time here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when I started is you know, 2,600. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a number of recessions. We've had an attack on the U.S. We've been in wars. A lot of things have happened over that time span there. And if you bet against the U.S. and capitalism and thought things were going to end, you were probably significantly wrong.
Well, we'll switch over. We'll take a look at the S&P 500. And remember, the S&P 500, it's 500 stocks, 500 of, you know, biggest companies. Some of these companies are global companies. They're selling products or services all over the world, not just U.S. And so this is a nice broad picture of what's going on in general markets. S&P 500 had a good rally, not quite as strong as the NASDAQ out of its bottom in March, but it's had a strong rally. And then we pulled back last week, pulled back underneath the 200-day moving average, and then rebounded pretty nicely this week. We've had a good week overall in just, you know, general large cap stocks.
I called that activity last week a punch in the face, and I think our response to that punch in the face was to move more resources from the smaller companies into the last indices that we saw there, that those seem to be more resilient, and that's generally what you'd like to be in, is those things that are more resilient. So we moved out of these sorts of ones right here with the S&P 600 and resources into the previous two charts.
And you might notice right along here, stocks, the smaller and medium-sized publicly traded companies started to look really good. We got north of a 200-day moving average. That's very bullish for us. But then it just couldn't keep it up. And so that's what Keith's saying. When we got punched in the face, these stocks, they took it a little harder and weren't quite as resilient as some of the companies with larger assets and more strength, more time under their belts.
I think, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think realistically, we're beginning to see what COVID really did. I don't know in your neighborhoods, Amanda and Doug, but I noticed close to our house that several restaurants, some big name chains have closed shop and things like that are happening. And so the optimism, I think, that drove this index up will probably become more realistic in the days and weeks ahead, just to see what's actually going to happen now that the economy is opened again.
Yeah, and you know, with that comes a lot of opportunity. You might notice your favorite restaurant or a place down the road from you has closed, but I met with a guy this week who he is buying those restaurants, and he couldn't be more excited. He's putting new restaurants in. And so that's the beauty of capitalism is there is a chance for rebound. There's someone out there who has some capital that they want to put to work. They're optimistic about the future. And so it's an exciting time. It's a wild time. I want to go back to a conversation I had with a good friend of mine the other day. Let's see, type this in. We've never looked at this, but this is corn. This is a picture of what's going on for our farming friends. And corn right now, it's been tough. You know, farmers, they're going to make a living this year, but it's not the $7 corn that it was back in like 11 or 12. And so it's really, you know, corn has been coming down. There's some tariff pressures. There's some political issues going on. But for our farmer friends, these commodity prices are pretty low. And oil prices are very low. If you're going to fill up your car and go somewhere, now's the time to do it. I spoke with a good buddy of mine last night. They were driving down to Arkansas, and they have a huge family. They have 6 kids, and they were taking 2 cars because they had all the fun stuff in the back of his pickup truck. So, you know, with commodity prices, there's winners and there's losers. But Keith, do you have any other thoughts on commodities? I mean, we've got corn, we've got oil, we've got gold. What else do you think about with commodities?
Well, before you switch charts on me, I would just say that all these charts we look at tell a story, a psychological and emotional story. And so I like, if I pull up this chart, I have a heart of compassion towards the farmers. I realize that, you know, from 15 to 12, that's a pretty significant drop. Look at those corn prices since 2012, how they've dropped off. So that makes their businesses more challenging. Well, we all use corn. So if we're a corn user, then we've benefited somewhat from that drop in the price, but there's always somebody else on the other side of the equation. And so these charts can tell more than just the actual economics. So you can just see it and have an understanding. But go check out the VIX index for me real quick, Doug. The VIX just measures the volatility, and this one's going to be in the S&P 500. Look at the daily if we could. That looks like a chain.
Yeah, that looks like modern art right there.
Yeah, yeah. And so what this tells us is that over to the left of that 1338 there around February, all of that was fairly reasonable trading. I was going to say safe, but I don't think our regulators allow me to say safe. So it was reasonable trading in the markets. This measures how volatile stock prices get, and it shot from that level right there where that finger is all the way up to the 85 level at the low in the market. And we were starting to see this market settle down, and it was kind of making a bowl shape there, the left side of a bowl. And then we had last Thursday that punch in the face where it jumped up and shot it up over 40. And we'd really love to see it get down below 20 to have really peace that we're in a kind of safer trading environment for our clients. But that's what's going on with the volatility. I want to go over another commodity if you all will.
Let me jump in here real quick. And many of you have noticed in your portfolios, you may have a larger allocation to a money market position than you've had in years. In 2019, it was just the markets just looked great. But this year, we have a large allocation to money markets, and that's primarily because when the VIX is up around 30, it's still a pretty volatile time. And so that's one reason why we've kept some cash on the table.
Well, and I'd say a second reason is if you want to buy bonds, you're not getting much more than the interest rate, but you have significantly greater risk as well. So how about another commodity? You don't have a chart for this one, so you don't have to share your screen anymore, but I'm going to go with the commodity we used to all love to look at and talk about here. Look at this bad boy. You guys recognize this?
I saw you doing that at your desk. I was
Oh.
like, what is he getting ready to do over there?
Here goes Keith again. This is March 2nd, Tyner Household Index of 1 penny's worth of toilet paper. March the 2nd. Got it?
Yeah.
This is only when we naturally buy, so we've had a bigger household than usual. April 26th, 1 penny's worth of toilet paper. Look at that. But I come bearing good news. We had to restock this week. Check it out, folks.
Oh,
The shortage is over, Doug. What do you think?
This is a picture that people will not be able to get out of their heads.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world.
Permanent.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I'm guessing you can get hand sanitizer again. I didn't do the study on hand sanitizer. It's not as much fun.
I was at CVS yesterday. They had tons of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So it's all back.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the person that's filled their basement full of that toilet paper because the prices are a lot lower now than they were when this all started.
Hey, if you've been part of these calls, you know we go from markets to real life to real world, breaking it down to something that is applicable for your life. So how in the world are we going to transition this? So
well, there's just a lot of change going on. We've gone through a lot of change. We've seen a lot of change, and there's a lot more change to come too. But even from a millennial's perspective, I had sent Keith, when all of this was happening, I sent Keith this tweet that read, coronavirus got boomers stocking their doomsday bunkers. Meanwhile, millennials are online shopping for bathing suits for the 5-island trip they just booked on Spirit for $130. And that is so accurate. That's just the millennial mindset. You know, they're like, hey, we'll go on trips. And man, no one could have expected that we were going to be in 3 months of quarantine. And I was listening just to like the news the other day and just talking about how so many people now in hindsight are like, wow, we really could have used some savings, some cushion, some of that, just cushion. And from a millennial's perspective, I feel like most of my peers probably live paycheck to paycheck. And so I'm hoping that this will hopefully change their mindset on how to think more like a boomer and kind of save up for some of these times like this that no one could have anticipated.
And for some of those out there, the financial planning institutions, you know, their recommendations have always been 3 months worth of savings or 6 months worth of savings. For some of you who've sat across the table from us, it's normally whatever the most conservative spouse thinks you need to have is what you need to have. But yeah, that's a great point, Amanda, is just having some cushion. And I think what that really does is that breeds contentment in life, or contentment when you're just happy with where you are. And if you're happy with where you are in America, it normally means that you can save up a little bit at the same time.
$130 could have gotten you a couple more days of food, or you know, a couple more rolls of toilet paper if you needed them too.
Yeah. Uh-oh, you're on mute.
You're muted.
I think just a random, and I know this goes against the traditional advice, but I would even tell my millennial friends to even count their retirement plan as a source of emergency funds. And I can go into bigger detail on that, but retirement's an invented idea. And we really believe in helping you with your retirement savings, but living life is not an invented idea. And so to be stressed out that you don't have liquidity and not be willing to touch your retirement account and be young at this point it's not using your thoughts in the best way. And so being flexible to thoughts is really what I think we bring to the table for our clients, is we can give them some creative ways to look at the world differently than the way everybody else is.
Well, and being flexible right now and we're still in this. And so, you know, in the workplace, if you're in the workplace, if you had an office, if you're going to an office, if your kids are about ready to go to summer camp or you're not sending them to summer camp, there's just a lot of decisions that are being made. And staying flexible is huge. Staying flexible as your whole family, but the key to all of it is communication and just talking with each other. But one of the themes we started either last week or the week before was just talking about what has COVID done? What is changing? We spent some time talking about leisure. You might remember that bicycle sales are going through the roof, RVs, anything that you can do at your own with your family. Those types of expenditures have been really shooting through the roof. But what else is going out there that you guys see along that same topic?
Well, I think if we took a subset of the economy, and really why this matters from a professional manner is that we've got our eyes out to the future. And so the big deal is how can we capitalize on this as investors as we're helping our clients. And if we just take the subset of culture, what is work going to look like? How is work going to be differently? Those are the kind of questions we ask one another. And I would say it's going to be different, but I don't even know that everybody knows what to think about. I think the change in work will be an acceleration of technological expenses by corporations, because I think last week in one of our team meetings, I mentioned, hey, do any of y'all need dual monitors on your desk at home? Because I'm working on this little bitty monitor here, and it's a lot easier having the big dual monitors. And so I'm probably not the only one thinking like that, right? Like, and so big corporations, when they buy dual monitors for all their employees to put on their desk at home, those sales are going to spike up. Like they haven't, maybe when we were buying, we'd probably buy a monitor every 5 years at Gimbal, right? So if you've got big corporations stocking up people's houses, you could see massive increases immediately in some technological expenses. What other kind of business changes do you see, Doug?
In the workplace, last night I logged on to TechPoint's Mira Awards, and this is an awards they put on once a year for the innovators of Indianapolis, venture capitalists and design firms. And it's a really cool event. I've never been, but last night I didn't have to put on a tuxedo or pay an entrance fee. It was free to anybody. So I sat there in my t-shirt after a bike ride and I watched this thing, and it was really great. They put on a nice event. They had close to 500 and some people that I saw streaming it live. And it was very personable. That's the thing I liked about the technology, is it showed people receiving their awards in their own living room. And most of the recipients, they weren't even dressed up. They were just doing life. And so I think technology is going to allow us to be more real with each other at times. It's going to give an invitation to go places that you haven't gone before. They had a couple people chime in from San Francisco who were investors. Those folks would have had to fly in. They would have had to miss 3 days of their family time. And so, I think technology, I think COVID gave us the excuse to say, it's okay. We can shake things up. We can do it a little different.
I think it's going to affect just a lot of the way we work. The people in San Francisco, maybe they were friends of people receiving those awards. And in the past, they might have flown in to do this, but I think, those people that are buying airline stocks, they need to really stop and think about what's business travel going to look like because of things like Zoom or Microsoft Teams and just this very show. So things aren't going to be as easy as just buying low out there in the economy, because the spending habits are going to change from COVID. And it's going to take some creativity, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, but I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think we were designed to be creative, and we were designed to take risks. And so that's what you're going to see emerging. And my guess is the people doing that, thinking opportunistically, they will look back at their businesses and they'll say, hey, that's when we really started to make a difference. Or that's why we hired these 12 new people, because we were able to grow during that time.
Another really outstanding thing about this is this may be one of the shortest recessions in history. I don't know how this thing's going to unfold, but a lot of the greatest companies that have ever evolved in our economy have come out of a recession, because people that they have creativity within them, they have desires to help people, and then they find themselves with time, and then the possibilities now. I think capital is available to help people start businesses at a much freer level than any time I can ever remember. So I think there's going to be some amazing ideas that are going to come out of the coronavirus. It's going to change the way we work. Work is just going to be different. And if you, as an employee, resist that change, you're probably going to be resisting progress. But if you can embrace it, then you're going to be a champion of progress. And progress is what I think your employers are going to look for.
Yeah, I know we've talked in the past just about expanding your worldview, and that is just one relationship at a time. Now's a great time. It's summertime. Places are starting to open up again. Even if you just want to sit out in a lawn chair in your driveway, really open up those relationships again. Now's the time to do it. And it's a great time to get away from your television and get back to reality. So anything else before we wrap it up?
I've got some stuff I'm going to give up. How about you guys? I'll go over mine after you guys say what you're giving up this week.
Are you talking about like quitting on Thursday?
Well, I give up my books. You don't have to necessarily quit. You can give up stuff. So I'm going to give up some books at the end here. But what are you guys going to quit or give up this week? Anything?
I haven't even thought about it. This week snuck up on me personally.
You know, for me, my older two boys and I, we've been glued to Netflix, and we've been watching The Office. And we'll watch like 4 or 5 episodes, and I'll eat a half a bag of tortilla chips at 10 o'clock at night. And so for me, you heard it here. I need you to help me. No more snacks after 8. If it's green, I can eat it. And so the rest of the summer, that's what I'm quitting. I'm quitting the snacks after 8. Well, weekends might not count.
What are you giving away, Keith?
I've got books. I'm getting rid of books here. This is one of my favorite daily books.
I love that book. That is a great book.
People give me this, so I'm not giving it away because I don't like it. I have a copy at home, but I have spare copies of My Utmost for His Highest. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Somewhere in the front of it here, I can't see it right now. I should have looked at this before I got you all on the line here. But it says it's written by Oswald Chambers, but Oswald died before this was ever put together, and his wife, Bessie Chambers, was a secretary, I think is what she was, and she put this thing together, and so it's been a timeless. It's a great book. It's available to the first 2 calls or emails us. Then this one, I really like this book. Born to Run is just a fascinating story. And I see some parallels between what we do at the market, Doug, but there's the story of a guy that was trying to exercise, and his doctor said he should quit running, and it tells his journey through running. And it tells about a bunch of different groups of people in there, but one that fascinated me was the Tarahumara. The Tarahumara was some Mexican people that just kept outrunning the Americans on these ultra 100-mile marathons. And the principle that I think is outrageous that we can all learn from is the Americans would run up the mountains, and the Tarahumaras would smoke them every time because the Tarahumarans would walk up the mountains and run down them. And so when it's more difficult, it's probably a good time to take a rest. So when the markets do get more difficult, we probably are going to be more cautious. And when they're not so difficult, we'll probably put our foot more on the gas. But this is a great book if you want it. I'd highly encourage you to be the first to ask for that one.
And you don't have to, if you're watching this on the recording too, give it a shot. Send us an email. Let us know if you want them.
Yeah, that's a good word. Well, everyone, thanks again for tuning in. As you can tell, we have so much fun doing this. And Deb, we missed you on the call today. But one last plug I'm going to give for Gimbal Financial is I wanted a fancy coffee machine in here, and Amanda just did a killer job finding us a fancy coffee machine. And so if you need to come on by and have a really good cup of coffee, we've got some great beans from Cups Coffee, and we'd love just to sit down with you 6 feet apart, inside, outside. Come to the little white garage behind our building, and let's sit down. Let's just hang out. So anyway, thanks for allowing us to come into your living room, your porch, wherever you're at, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Right on.
Take
Happy
care.
Father's Day, you guys.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye.